Robin Hood. I'm just gonna start by saying I'm gonna find it really hard to find things that you should like about this movie.
This movie sucks.
Like, I'm gonna recommend that. My philosophy with movies is every movie's worth watching once, so you should definitely watch it as your third option of the three that we're talking about. But if you want to wait to Netflix or maybe 5 years from now,
video, where you see it for free. That's
that's
the best time to see
I don't know. I don't know if I'd spend the $12.50 for this one.
No.
Where do you want to start? Like, I think we both agreed after the movie there was one thing that really stood out, and it's not a plot thing. It's just something that as a history person, go ahead. You tell it.
I'm a little bit of a history nerd too, but the biggest issue with us was the clothing. The choice of clothing in that movie. That was very strange. This is the 13,000. This is like the thousands.
The thousands, yeah. The Crusades. Like,
this is the Crusades.
The 1100s were probably sometime in this period.
Yeah. The clothing really, really, like, it really stuck out to me when I saw the Marion. She was wearing a leather jacket.
And the Sheriff of Nottingham was wearing like a suit, like this, like it's like they're wearing clothing from like the 1990s. Like, no,
90s, 2000s. I feel like leather jackets are in right now, so
it's like they just, and I don't know if I'm giving them credit for this in the introduction, which I don't even know how to criticize this, but they say, or technically Friar Tuck says, we don't know the time or we don't know the date. Yeah, we do. The Crusades. They go fight in the Crusades. So we know, we might not know the exact date, but we definitely have an era, right?
We have an idea.
The English king is Richard the Lionheart, right? We're not going for a prime minister here. So we have an idea, and we know that leather jackets were not around in the 1100s.
Oh man, it's just that was the thing is, like, you love to say this is like when the plot's bad, little things start to add up.
It's true.
It's like that's just one of the little things.
But a lot of the little, but there were so like I can't think of any little things that were good.
The disguise just bugged me. My main thing, like, it's the same thing like in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when you have the disguise and they take off their disguise way too much.
He was half the movie. He didn't have it
was in broad daylight.
Yes, broad daylight. He's wearing this thing over his mouth to cover, like, so you could just see the eyes, but he had it
kind of like a bootleg Green Arrow.
Yeah, like
season 1.
Yeah, but most of the time the scarf was out. You could see his entire face,
and he just put
in broad
it down
daylight
all the time. And then he just puts it back up, and then the guy, Little John, played by Jamie Foxx, he's with him all the time, and he's not wearing a disguise. So what's the point of him wearing the disguise?
He's with Robin of Locksley and the Hood.
They kind of tried to do a Batman aspect where Robin of Locksley's like Bruce Wayne, where he goes and mingles with the rich, and Robin Hood is the Batman that stops the bad people but steals money this time.
Except for Alfred is with Batman and Bruce Wayne.
All the time.
All the time. Even the technology, like they chose like not a machine gun, but like a machine gun style, but instead of shooting bullets, it shoots arrows. So it's shooting like 8 arrows, 10 arrows in like 10 seconds, like an arrow a second. That's what you got from it in the 1100s.
And then they also had this giant cannon. Did you see that cannon arrow when they attacked the mines?
Again, that's about 400 or 500 years too early.
And was dynamite introduced in the thousands yet?
No, like Alfred Nobel invented dynamite in the 1800s.
Okay, so they had a dynamite
just so we're
clear.
Just to be clear. I do want to focus on the Crusades because the first probably 30 minutes of the movie deal with that. So Robin of Locksley, who meets Mary and they fall in love, gets drafted, which is a normal thing during the Crusades. The commoners as well as some of the nobility or the would be drafted. So he goes and fights. But the fighting in I don't know if it was Jerusalem or whatever city it was very modern. They were moving around the city. It wasn't fought like a medieval kind of war would be fought.
It was kind of like a Navy SEALs.
Yeah, that's exactly. No, it's
bow
exactly
and arrows.
That's exactly what it was like. With instead of a
sniper tactics,
and the sniper instead of it being a sniper was a machine gun arrow thing that was shooting someone. And Robin of Locksley had to go around and
had to do a classic
Uncharted kind of thing.
Marooner.
Yeah, kind of like Uncharted where you go like around different things to shoot. Yeah, it was kind of sad.
I thought the tactics were really weird too. Like they're in a world where they don't really know what's going on, so instead of taking the high ground, they're on the streets.
Yep.
Which is not the brightest thing as a military tactic.
But again, because that wouldn't be what it would be a siege of the city, and then when they're ready to invade, they all invade at the same time. They don't just there's not just on the outskirts.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna have the other army kind of standing on roofs and slowly getting them in. It's not how that would have worked. That would have worked in like the middle of like a valley where they would be on the top of the valley while the other army went through. But no, not like that.
Yeah, those tactics, guerrilla tactics, weren't introduced to, I believe, the American Revolution.
That was one of the first guerrilla tactics that we see. There probably existed a little bit before, but not as constructed as you would see from that. And then after that sequence, Robin almost gets killed by Jamie Foxx's character, and Gisborne, sorry, cuts off Jamie Foxx's hand and captures him. So they're back at camp, and we see that the British troops are executing prisoners. And Robin looks, and he's like, I don't really like this. Okay, makes sense. He's not happy with this. He's a good character. Totally makes sense.
Doesn't like these tactics.
You won't want someone being executed either. Like, especially if you're a good person.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he attempts to save Jamie Foxx's kid. He actually stops the execution by using his sword. Okay, kind of treason, but understandable. Like, look,
you can survive that.
Yeah. Then he gets pushed away, and the soldier finishes killing Jamie Foxx's son by cutting off his head. And then Robin decides to attack the English army and freed a bunch of slaves.
I don't care what kind. Sorry, this part is just really funny. They don't kill him.
There's no repercussions.
They say, "You're lucky you're a lord." Send him on. They just shoot him in the gut with an arrow and then send him back to England.
Can we talk about like the medicine in the 1100s? Probably get shot in the gut with an arrow. You're probably that deep. Die. Like that.
I thought Jamie Foxx should have died when he got his hand cut off, and they definitely didn't give him medicine to heal that.
Cauterized the hand. At least makes more sense because he cauterized it. But again, it makes no sense. And then he goes back to England.
Yeah, he should have been like that. Movie should have ended there.
Yeah,
like,
with him
Robin
being killed
Hood was murdered
for treason.
For
trying to kill English troops. But anyway, he goes back, and Jamie Foxx's character stows away in the bottom of a ship for 3 months. Which, again, can we talk about how you survive 3 months on a ship?
Yeah, and he's
in the
barefooted. He's in the bottom. Like, he's definitely getting like trench foot or like his feet have to be cut off. Like there's no way anyone survived, especially in the 1100s.
So anyway, Robin comes back to Nottingham, 3 months later, as we find out. And remember, Nottingham, for those of you who aren't familiar with England, is not along the water. You have to travel inland to get there. Somehow Jamie Foxx makes it with them. Don't know how. And he gets home to find out that they thought he's been dead for 2 years, so his castle's been kind of destroyed a little bit. Marion has found another guy to be with, and he's all upset. And he meets Jamie Foxx, comes to him, or John comes to him and says, "I want to make you, Robin, a symbol to end all wars, because I've never seen anyone care about people like you have. So I'm going to make you a symbol to end all wars." Now, I don't understand how this makes sense.
Jamie Foxx's character's motivation is very strange. He doesn't know anything like we discussed before. He doesn't know anything that's going on. He doesn't know what the circumstances are back home for Robin. For all he knows, Robin is just a guy that's just a playboy that's just, messing around with a bunch of girls and stuff like that and just having a good time. He doesn't know that. It's just luck that Robin is able to had those repercussions happen to him.
It's lazy writing is what it is, right?
100%.
Because let's talk about Robin's motives. He only becomes the Hood because of Marion. He actually says this, right? The movie at least flat out says this later on. He admits this to Marion. I only became the Hood because of you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Technically, I feel like the real Robin Hood should have been Marion, to be honest, at the time, right?
Well, but even still, like they wrote it to be like that she's the thief in the beginning. Like the Friar Tuck says, it begins with a thief, but not the thief you're thinking of, Marion. And Marion's fighting the sheriff the entire time before Robin
even got there.
Oh yeah, but Robin has no interest, and I really didn't like the writing of Robin in general. Because we see two sides of Robin the entire movie. We see the selfish side that he's only in it for Marion, but we also see the noble, the selfless side, right? After they kind of steal all the gold, he's like, "Oh, either all of us get out or none of us get out." Doesn't that sound familiar in some other thing, Mr. Comic Book?
Oh, I think that's Captain America. But
from what movie? Just out of curiosity, do you remember?
The Avengers.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, right?
Oh, Age of Ultron.
Where they're supposed to leave Sokovia and Cap's like, no, not unless all of us. So is he Captain America or is he selfish? We don't really know this in this movie.
I'm gonna say selfish because he finds out that these mines are gonna get attacked and it's the slums and what ends up happening. Sorry, this movie's just so bad it just keeps making me laugh. But what ends up happening is he's like, we gotta save these people. Like, we don't have a plan. It's okay. There's not enough of them to take us, right? He goes down. He sees Marion, but Marion gets captured, and he's like, you know what? Forget all these people. I'm just gonna save Marion. He gets Marion, and he just leaves.
Let's not forget, John was with them in this plan. John was driving the chariot or whatever you want to call it.
And then at the end of the movie, he's like, you know what? We all have to leave together. Like, where was that? Like 20 minutes ago.
Because Marion was with him this time, so it was good. No, you know what though? But that kind of goes with the whole planning, right? None of it's well planned. Like everything was rushed. Like they went into the Treasury building, and Jamie Foxx or John's like, "Do you have a plan?" And he's like, "Mm-hmm, I have a plan." But they didn't have a plan. Like they came up with no goal, and it was get shot in the leg with an arrow, and there was like literally like 50 guards in there to him.
I really thought he was gonna get caught with that arrow. That was gonna play a part of him being caught. Like, they're gonna see the blood, but no, that didn't have anything to do with it. But yeah, they had no plan going into the treasury. He just attacked it to attack it. Yeah. I guess this was more about like getting the will of the people. You know, anti-government, which is a point I want to bring up. Is it's kind of funny how this movie's not that successful considering right now that the people's faith in the media, government, and religion are at all-time lows, and Robin Hood would be the perfect character to kind of embodiment that feeling, but the movie just not successful, and that's two times it wasn't. It's
true, because, you know, I won't talk about the media because it didn't exist then, but we see it with the government and the faith, right? Yeah. The cardinal is the ultimate villain, right?
Yeah.
And the sheriff is the other ultimate villain. Mm-hmm. So you have the government section of Nottingham, and the religious element are the villains. And we don't even care about that because it's so poorly written that it can't work. Like Robin is your ultimate hero because Robin Hood should be like Captain America, should be like Superman, this uber good character, and they chose to go differently about it. You know, I know that Costner's role or Costner's character gets made fun of a lot because he didn't have the accent, but I love that movie with Morgan Freeman and Kevin Costner. I thought he did a great job, and let's not forget about the late Alan Rickman, who's amazing in whatever he does. But it's a great movie, and you know, it seems like every Robin Hood movie is from it since it hasn't been able to live up to those shoes.
Yeah, I feel like. Depends on like what director. Every director wants to put their own spin on it. This one is like, let's have a edgy kind of Robin Hood where he just cares about. He doesn't care about the people. He cares about love. Love is what motivates this Robin Hood.
But this is the problem. Don't mess with what works. You have a great classic story. You can retell it again. It's okay. It hasn't been retold since the early 90s. You can tell them because, let's be honest, it's still better than 2010's Russell Crowe Robin Hood, where he wasn't even Robin of Locksley. He was someone else. He was someone else. Horrible. One of the worst movies I think I've ever seen is that, and I love Russell Crowe, but that movie's brutal. At least this movie puts Robin of Locksley back to being Robin of Locksley. But you have a classic story. learn from that 2010 movie that go with the classic story. It's okay. People are okay with seeing a classic story again because, granted, how old would I would have been like 4 or 6 when Prince of Thieves came out. So I don't remember seeing in theaters a Robin Hood like that. And before that, it was like 1939 Errol Flynn's movie. Or 38 Errol Flynn's movie. So it's okay to rehash something. Just stick with the source material, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's another studio should pay close attention to that, i.e. DCEU. But yeah, totally agree with what you're saying. I just want to go back to one of the how he attacked everybody and like the reason why his mansions was destroyed, right? It's kind of strange that it was for taxes. When I first saw that, I immediately thought that, oh, okay, maybe this is for for what he did during the Crusades. So I was like, nope, sheriff just needed it for taxes. And I'm just like, okay. Like that part of the movie, they just added an extra element that didn't have any repercussions for it, right? It's just
it feels almost as if they had a couple actions, because like if you're gonna find a positive in this movie, if you're gonna go watch this movie, it's gonna be for some of the action sequences. They are visually appealing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the action sequences are really good.
Some of them, I mean,
watching the arrows,
they're a little crazy because you can't shoot 4 arrows at a time. I don't care, but I mean, their sequences for what they're doing. Can't. Okay. That's fantasy. That's I guess this is fantasy too because we have leather jackets in the 1100s as well as machine guns. But whatever. But like if you're gonna watch it for the action sequences. So I almost think the writers had these action sequences in mind and had to come up with a plot. Okay, how do we get Robin back? Because we want to send him to the Crusades. Okay, well let's have him commit treason and we'll bring him back that way. Okay, but we want to have Jamie Foxx in this movie. We want him to have a role. How do we bring him back? We'll let him stow away because he thinks Robin Hood can be, or Robin of Locksley can be some kind of hero.
Good guy.
Who can end all wars.
End all wars.
Do we want to talk at all about Will?
Will, the character, Marion's character that she was with before when he was presumed dead.
Yes, the character, the love triangle part of the character, because no good war movie, it wouldn't be complete without a good love triangle.
Yeah, that
Pearl
character
Harbor, shout out to you.
That character was, I don't know, he just seemed as his purpose was to be that love triangle for no reason. The love triangle wasn't really needed in this movie, but they just threw it in for some reason. I don't know why.
Not needed at all. Not needed at all. It's just a waste of. It's again, like I said, I can't really think of a lot of positives. One more thing I do want to talk about. We talked about how little John couldn't be figured out from the fact he was always with Robin. About 3/4 of the way into the movie, the head of the Crusades that sent Robin of Locksley back, Gisborne, and the other Crusaders that he was with, come back to guard the Sheriff of Nottingham and to help capture Robin Hood.
The Robin Hunters.
The Robin Hunters, exactly. Now, eventually, John is going to be captured. And Gisborne will see this. How Gisborne cannot connect the dots, I have no idea.
That was a great part. Because, like we said, he's with Alfred, using the Batman analogy again, Alfred is with him as Bruce Wayne and as Batman, like, in public. So, the fact that a lot of people can't connect the dots, like, even the Sheriff of Nottingham's like, wait, weren't you at that party with Robin of Locksley?
At the church, too. Don't forget the church.
Oh, yeah, he was at that church.
That's how, remember, he's like, Robin, it's time to go. Robin, it's time to go. As he's saying it they're not right beside each other. They're across the room from each other.
And he's screaming it out loud. And people can't seem to put 2 and 2 together.
But remember, this guy Gisborne ordered Jamie Foxx's or John's son to be murdered, and Robin tried to save him. Gisborne took off Jamie Foxx's hand. Like it's like, how do you not? I just don't understand how the dots aren't connected. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, 100%. This movie. What else is there to say?
I really have nothing else. I would say this is like a 3 or 4 out of 10 if I'm going.
It sucks. Like don't watch it once.
At home
for
for
have
free.
a good laugh. If you want to see a crappy
Netflix.
movie and enjoy some bad writing like this,
if you like action, I
for
mean,
you.
maybe it's worth it because there are a bunch of action sequences. But if you
or
like
watch
plot,
the action scenes on YouTube
or character development or story in general, this is not the movie I would go see.